Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to show you all about targeting. So this is going to be a rundown of exactly how we go through targeting, and I'm going to show you a ton of different stuff that you can do to really laser target exactly who you want to find and who you think your buyers are, and also how to train your pixel properly on finding who your buyers are. So let's dive in. I'm just going to go step by step over everything. So some things I'm just going to explain them what they are, and then other things I'm going to teach you guys some strategies. So here we go. Okay, so this is all just going to be done inside your ad set. So just editing an ad set here because this is where all of your targeting is going to be. So obviously here you'll be able to select your conversion event. I've selected conversion as my conversion event. So here it'll allow you to pick your pixel. So quit 9 to 5's pixel, and then it'll show you all the potential events. So obviously if I selected leads as my conversion event, then I would want to select leads here. And then the pixel will optimize for leads or for people who have hit my my landing page. So this will optimize for the maximum amount of people that will land on my landing page. Whether they convert or not, the objective is leads. So just like we taught you so far in the training, you're going to want to select purchases every single time. So there's some advanced strategies that you can do with the other stuff here, but for now, you're just going to do purchases. Oops. So I'm just going to go select that. So purchase. Okay. So now down here, you can select app, messenger, WhatsApp. This is all stuff that we just never ever use. So you're always just going to want to do conversion, event, location, website. If you scroll down, this is where you toggle dynamic creatives on. So we're going to go over this in the video about creating your money-making ads. So we're not really going to get into this, but this setting is toggled on in the ad set level or off. So this will turn on your dynamic ads or not. This offer tab, we never really use this because this just is unrelated. It doesn't really help. And here, it allows you to select your budget. So there's a bunch of different stuff that you can do with budget and a bunch of different strategies that you can employ for targeting with the budget. Now, one thing I want to explain to you guys is that your budget is also a form of targeting. This is a little bit advanced, but I'm going to tell you guys about this right now because it is a real thing and it matters a lot. So if you select $20, your Facebook pixel will spend $20 daily budget over the course of the entire day. What this means is it's going to pace your budget out over the course of the entire day, because obviously if Facebook wanted to, it could just vacuum up your 20 bucks in a split second and then just give you all the traffic that it gives you, and then you're done for the day, right? But it's not going to do that because you're saying, Facebook, I want you to find the most conversions possible in a 24-hour window with my $20. So it's going to go slow. It's going to spend, 15 cents here, 15 cents there, right? Auctions have bids that are associated with them. So your pixel is going to be entering a ton of auctions over the course of the day, and whatever it's bidding is going to be determined by your budget. So if I have a $20 budget and you have a $100 budget, your bid cap is going to be higher than mine at the $20 budget. So the $100 budget is just going to be able to bid more on auctions than the $20. Now, for all of those of you thinking, oh man, well, if I don't have a big budget, so I'm just going to get smoked then, right? No, that's not the case, because some bid caps just work better than others. For example, I've found that $50 a day for ads works exceptionally well recently. And this is just because, like, for example, my $50 ad, I would launch a $50 a day ad, and then I would launch an $80 a day ad. And the $50 a day would actually make just as many purchases as the $80. The only difference is the $80 spent 30 bucks more. So this is because the $50 automatic bid is at a bid cap that's really, really kind of cherry picking out of the auction without spending too much to get the same amount of conversions as the slightly higher bid cap of the $80 a day. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Pretty much what I'm telling you is you're going to want to split test some different budgets when you're doing your targeting. So let's say you would do one ad at 50 bucks and then, publish the ad, and then you would duplicate the ad, and you would do one at like $60 and see which works better. So you would keep everything the same, and then this one you would do $60 and then publish it. So everything else the same, and then just a different budget. That's a different way of targeting. So just wanted to kind of brief you guys on that before we move forward. This is more of an advanced strategy, but since we're getting into targeting right now, I'm just going to give you a glimpse on it. We're going to get into a ton of manual bidding and a whole bunch about bidding strategies later on. But for now, all I want you to take from this is certain budgets will perform better than others. And no, higher budgets do not perform better than lower budgets necessarily. It's just kind of random. So you just want to test them all and find which one works the best. So another thing that you can do is you can switch from a daily budget to a lifetime budget. What this means is you can start on March 26, 2019 at 425, and then you can end it on, in a month later. So over the course of the entire month, you're going to tell Facebook to spend $350, for example. So there are things that go along with lifetime budget, like different targeting strategies that I'm going to get into for you. So you can choose to run ads on a schedule. What this means is you can choose exactly what time of day that your ads are running. So here we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so it goes all the way to Monday to Sunday. Then we have 12 a.m. to all the way to 12 a.m. the next day. So you can select the viewer's time zone, which means if you're launching ads, obviously everybody has a different time zone. So your ads are going to run, if you select, for example, 3 a.m. on Monday, viewers time zone. That means your ads are going to run in California for an hour, and then they're going to run in the next state over for an hour, and then they're going to run in the next state over for an hour. So your ads are essentially going to run all day long, but just in different parts of the country or different parts of the world, but only at 3 a.m. in their time zone. Another thing that you can do is this ad account's time zone. So that means only when it's 3 a.m., so this would only run for 1 hour a day in my time zone at 3 a.m. So it would hit literally everywhere in the world, or everywhere that I would allow it to target, just for 1 hour at 3 a.m. What this is traditionally called is day parting. There's a bunch of different strategies that you can do with this. This is more of a scaling strategy because you're going to need data back before you actually can choose an efficient time of day to run your ads. So for example, if you're looking at your reporting and you see that between 3 a.m. and 9 a.m. just performs extremely well in your time zone, and all the rest of the hours of the day kind of suck. They're just not that good. They're really expensive. So between 3 a.m. and 9 a.m., you're like 500% ROI. And then from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., you're like negative 200%, stuff like that. You can just exclude these times of the day, and then you can only get the juicy, nice times of the day for the traffic. You can also, for example, if you notice that Wednesday just sucks in general, Wednesday really sucks. So we're not going to target Wednesday. So I'm going to take off Wednesday completely, and all the other days between 3 a.m. and 9 a.m., we're just going to run traffic. So this is a strategy that we're going to get into in data and reporting because you're going to need to actually have some data back before you use this, like I said. But I just want to show you guys this because this is something that you can do for those of you that are more advanced, that your data, you know how to look at your data, you know how to find this. This is a strategy that you can use to really give your results a nice boost. So we're going to switch it back to daily budget. And we're going to scroll down. So here is where you would insert your custom audiences. So like your lookalikes and all that stuff. Lookalikes are a scaling strategy. Custom audiences are a scaling strategy. So we're going to show you all about this in our scaling module. So just know that this is where you put the custom audiences in case you guys are wondering what this field is for. Now for locations, you can get into a whole bunch of different stuff in locations. So it's defaulting to Canada because I'm from Canada. But what you can do is you can just type in a bunch of different countries. So United States, for example, and add that in. So right now it's going to be targeting every single person in Canada and every single person in the United States. So what you can also do is you can target addresses. So let's say I'm going to type in a random address um, 555 North Street. So I'm just going to type that in, and then it's going to show a pin drop within a few miles, I think. Let's see, 10 miles. Yeah, so it's going to show you 10 miles within this exact address. So, for example, if you're selling some sort of a local business service, this is a great way to target people that are like 10 miles away from this particular dentist's office. If, for example, you're running, that type of traffic. So that's something that you can do. You can also exclude locations. So let's just go back to the United States instead of this address. And let's say we want to exclude Russia. We really don't want any traffic in Russia, so we're going to exclude Russia. For this to actually work, we're going to have to be running worldwide. So I'm going to include worldwide. So it's going to be blue checkmark on worldwide, and it's going to exclude everybody that lives in Russia, because maybe people in Russia just don't buy your product, and you know that. So you just want to exclude Russia and take the whole rest of the world for what you want. Now, you can exclude a bunch of different places at once. So you can do United States. If, for example, you don't want to run in the United States because Facebook tends to allocate most of your spend in the States if you actually target it. So that's a real thing, because most conversions do happen in the United States, just because Facebook and the internet and everyone just kind of spends money there. So United States is a really juicy area, but sometimes it just doesn't convert as well as the whole rest of the world. There's first world countries that convert better than the States sometimes for some offers. So you're going to want to exclude the States, and you're going to want to make sure that the rest of the world gets all of your ad spend. So that's something that you can do. And we're going to scroll down and continue. You can do ages down here. So if you find that, 30 to 65 men works, you can just choose to target that. And you can just split test these, right? If your pixel is seasoned, you're going to want to keep a more broad targeting. So what we mean by broad, I'm sure you guys have heard this a little bit. Broad targeting would be 18 to 65 in terms of age and men, right? So broad would be a huge potential reach over here. So this is 1.2 billion people that we're targeting. The strategy here is to let your pixel do the heavy lifting. So broad targeting is a very good targeting strategy once your pixel has amassed more than 5,000 conversions. That's just a rough estimate, that's just a number, but we've found that it tends to work best once you have that many conversions to just go straight up broad. So if we're targeting power efficiency, for example, I could target men 18 to 65 with automatic placements, meaning it's going to just show my ad absolutely everywhere it can. We're not going to exclude anything. And this would work really well if I had a seasoned pixel. Sometimes not, but it does become a valid strategy when your pixel is really seasoned. So the opposite of broad targeting would be really narrow targeting. And you'll see this nice little gauge here is going to show you how broad and how narrow you are. So if you're getting pretty narrow, it's going to be over in the red. And if you're super broad, it's going to be over into the yellow. 1.2 billion people, I would say, is pretty broad. So the thing's a little bit off on this one, but that's all right. So for example, if we're doing a dating offer, so we're going to target women, and we found that, women 23 to 31 convert really well. And it's not giving us the real potential reach here, so don't mind this. This is just a bug. So we're going to target women 23 to 31 who are into beauty. So there's still 180 million people that are in this audience. What we're going to want to do is narrow it down. So in order to target really, really specific, you can click down here. It says narrow audience. So now all the women that are into beauty must also match one of the following. So they have to be into this category as well as the category that you're going to put in here. So single as well. Now the audience is considerably smaller. So 32 million women are interested in beauty, and they're also single for our dating offer. Now, if I wanted to make it pretty small and pretty targeted, I would go to include United States, just for example. Close out of this so I can target it. So now you can see the reach got even lower. So if I wanted to really make this small, just for the sake of this example, I could just go women who are 23 that are interested in both beauty and are single as well. So this targeting is pretty tight. It's only 810,000 people, so that's not very many. Usually you want to be over a million if you actually want to be able to kind of scale it. But this is extremely targeted. It can get even more targeted than that. You can just narrow it even further. You can just put, who are into beauty, single, and bars. So now we're at 210,000 people. So as you can see, the reach just keeps getting lower and lower the more I narrow it down and narrow it down and narrow it down. So we're getting more and more specific into who we think is going to convert here. Strategies like this work best if your pixel is brand new and is not plugged in to everybody else's traffic. So it's not hard-coded. So some vendors will place your pixels so that you're going to get all the traffic for the offer, and some won't. One is not necessarily better than the other. They both offer advantages and disadvantages, and I'm explaining these targeting options to you guys right now just so you can understand the difference and how to approach each different pixel placement strategy. So if your pixel is not receiving everybody else's data from the offer, you can probably take a pretty good educated guess. And for those of you who are running dating, this is a pretty good one, minus the age. I mean, I'm not sure about 23 years old specifically, but a young woman who is interested in beauty, who is single, and who likes to go out in bars. We can safely assume that, probably a good amount of women in that demographic are looking to at least, date around just a little bit. So you're telling the pixel that for sure it wants to look here, and you're going to get some good data pretty quickly so that you can start training your pixel on who is actually converting for the offer based on logic. On the other hand, if your pixel is hard-coded, meaning it's getting all the data from the entire offer, the pixel already knows this. It already knows all this, so you don't need this. So what you could do is, instead of doing a super narrowed down, you could probably do 18 to 65 plus with no interests, and it would work just fine because the pixel's already done all this testing, and it already knows who your buyers are. So whether or not you give it a bunch of targeting to look in, it's probably not going to help it. In fact, with the more seasoned pixel, the more you try and detail down your targeting, the more it tends to restrict your pixel's ability to get you cheaper conversions. So what I'm saying is, the more seasoned your pixel gets, the broader you want to get with your targeting. Now, am I saying that this is, an absolute rule, and that if your pixel is hard-coded and you're getting a bunch of data, that you should never ever do any detailed targeting? No, of course not, because you need to train your pixel no matter what. If you haven't given it any of your own data, then you're still going to need to run it through the gauntlet of interests. But just know that it is a valid strategy to leave a couple ad sets, just go broad like this, because your pixel might produce some pretty good results just off of the extra data that you're getting from the offer. So I hope that makes sense. Let's move on to some different stuff. So over here, you'll notice it says expand interests when it may improve performance at a lower cost per result. So what that's going to do is, for example, let's say we're targeting women 18 to 30 who are into dating, and we check this off. So what this is going to do is, this is going to allow the Facebook pixel to look outside of the dating interest if it sees a cheaper purchase out there. So what it's going to do is it's going to mostly look in here, but it will also look in other places. And if it finds something else that it thinks is going to do better, it's just going to go into that auction for you. So this is a great way to scale. So if you've already dialed in a very nice targeting and you're hitting that targeting and it's going really well, you might want to try expanding your interests, because while it's going to mainly search here, there are going to be purchases outside of it that the pixel could find. But if you're limiting it to only this interest group, it might not find them. Now, this is something that you have to use with caution, because keep in mind, when you're doing this, this is pretty much making your pixel semi-broad. So if your pixel isn't that seasoned, I probably would not use this. It wouldn't really make sense because you don't have that much data. Your pixel's not that smart yet. So giving it a ton of reach is probably going to create worse results for you. Now, again, none of these things that I'm telling you guys today are absolutely finite, absolute. You could have a brand new pixel and just plug this in and expand the interest and it might work. So you're going to want to kind of test a bunch of everything. I'm just trying to give you guys a good idea of what is practical and kind of high probability. So just going to uncheck this and move on. Connections here. This is if you want to retarget people that have liked your page. So the way that we're teaching you to get page likes initially, you're not going to want to retarget those people probably, because we're getting you to go just for cheap page likes so that you can stay up and running and stuff. But later on, you can actually, this is an advanced strategy, you can choose to target people for page likes who are likely to convert for your offer, and then you can just retarget them here. So now on to placements. Automatic placements, like I said before, all this means is that you're going to be targeting absolutely everything on Facebook. So I'm just going to open up and show you guys all of the placements and everything. So here, it'll show you device types. So you can select one or the other or both. So for the sake of the example, I'm just going to select mobile. And then I'm going to scroll past these platforms really quick just to show you guys, to finish off the example. So down here, it says specific mobile devices and operating systems. One thing that you guys can do is you can select, for example, Android devices only. So then it's going to show you the included devices. Now, if we don't want to target Android smartphones, for example, we can just do tablets only. So notice the reach gets really small because tablets aren't as popular as smartphones. So down here, it also shows you OS versions, meaning an old tablet versus a new tablet. So if we want, we can do only brand new version 8.0 and above Android tablets. Notice the reach got cut by more than half here. So there's 190,000 instead of 500,000. So we're only targeting people who have the money to purchase, or who even care about new technology like this, so they'll purchase the brand new tablet, right? There's a bunch of different targeting strategies that you can do with this. So for example, if we go back to Android smartphones only, you can split test these. So you can do version 5 to 6. You can create one ad set with version 5 to 6, and then you can publish that, and then you could do one from 6 to 7.1, for example, and you can just split test device versions, because maybe the people that bought Android smartphones in these versions and still have them, maybe they just convert really well for an offer. We've seen it a ton of times before, where a certain OS version of a phone just works really, really well. Obviously, you can do the same thing for iPhones, so or feature phones, but I would not recommend that, because you just want to target the main two. So here as well, you can check only when connected to Wi-Fi. So me personally, I do like to check this when we're doing a VSL based offer. So that means if there's a video at the end of your offer, you're going to want to click this, because chances are people they don't want to use their data for watching a 60-minute video when they're like on the bus or when they're at work or something like that. They're just not going to be able to commit to a 60-minute long video, or just want to spend the money on the data. So that's just me kind of using a little bit of logic here, thinking I just want to cut out everyone who's not at home and who doesn't have the time to watch my 60-minute video in order to convert. Um, it honestly works both ways, but me, I just personally like to do it this way. Nick is a fan of automatic placements, so he's a huge fan of automatic placements. So what he does when he does this is he just won't check the Wi-Fi. So he'll do automatic placements like this, which will not even give you the option, which means it's not checked. So that's something that you can do as well. So now on to platforms. So Facebook owns a bunch of different platforms. They don't just own Facebook. So they own Facebook, they own Instagram, they own some ad space on audience networks, and they have their internal messenger. So you have messenger inbox. So for example, when you go to open a message from a friend, you can serve people ads in there. They have stories. So Facebook has stories now, and they have sponsored messages. They've just got a ton of places where you can show the ads. So you can choose to turn off different stuff. So you can choose to turn off Instagram, Audience Network, and only run to Facebook and Facebook Messenger. Also, if you don't want to run to Facebook Right Column or any of these other ones, you can just uncheck them. And then you can run to nothing but your Facebook feeds. So that's just an option that you can use. But for the most part, you're really not going to want to mess with these until you've got some data back. We're going to show you all this stuff in the data and reporting module because it really comes down to just letting the data show you where to look. You're going to want to let the pixel do most of the heavy lifting. So for now, my recommendation would be to do automatic placements or edit placements with the mobile Wi-Fi. If you guys do want, you can split test devices, but I would recommend letting the pixel get some data first because chances are they're going to perform the same. But you will find on certain offers that, for example, iPhone just works twice as good as Android. So you're going to want to remove Android, obviously, to double your numbers. So that's a thing that you can do. Just wanted to show you how to do that and all the possibilities with that. Now, down here is going to be the end of our tour. So we're going to get down to the conversion window. So you have 7-day click or 1-day view, 1-day click, 7-day click, and 1-day clicker view. So this is just how long it usually takes for somebody to make a conversion. So for example, the cheaper products, let's say, like all the products that we're teaching you guys to sell, I use 1-day click or 7-day click because 1-day click or view, that means if they view the ad, they convert after 1 day here. I don't really like when somebody just views my ad because I want them to see my landing page. So if they don't click to my landing page, I don't really count that as a valid attempt. So that's just me personally. You can play with all of these. This is something that you can split test. I just want to let you guys know what I do. So for the most part, I'm doing 1-day click as a default because usually for cheaper products, $60, it's like going out for a night to the movies. It's not something that's going to break the bank for a lot of people, and they don't really think about spending $60. Whereas, like I said before, spending money on Quit 9 to 5 Academy, that one I would probably do 7-day click because you might need 7 or 8 or 9 exposures to our product in order to trust us enough to drop $2,497, right? So that's just something to think about. And honestly, it's just something that you can split test. I wouldn't recommend just sticking to one and just doing it. Test it all. Some work better for certain offers and some don't. So, and then we've got the bid strategies down here. So this is starting to get into manual bidding. We're not going to touch this right now because this is pretty advanced stuff and there's a ton of stuff you can do with it. We're going to show you all those advanced strategies later. And this pretty much wraps up our tour of targeting. I hope you guys learned a lot from this and hopefully that it was explained clearly enough. But the one main takeaway that I want you guys to take away from this is you're going to want to test everything. Test a ton of stuff. Use your sheet. So just pull up the sheet and you can target the stuff in here. You can mix the interests together if you want. So you can narrow the audience like I showed you, and you can just do a whole bunch of fancy tricks with it. But the point is you just want to test everything and kind of go with the flow based on what's working for you and what's not working. If something's not working, you want to stop doing it and do more of what is working. So that's really the whole secret to targeting is you just want to go where the data points you. So I hope that makes sense to a lot of you guys, and we'll see you in the next module.